You know what's so crazy is last week, me and my buddy Ollie, my co-host, we were talking, and then I mentioned the rooftop show we did. Yeah. So then we were talking about you and stuff, and then I was like, he's gone this week. And I'm like, who should I get? And he's like, why don't you ask Jamie? I'm like, oh, yeah. It was just crazy that we were talking about it, and then for the viewers, like the very next week, here's Jamie Kennedy, the guy we talked about the week before.
You were like...
Yeah, we just manifested it.
Yeah.
How was that rooftop show for you?
Dude, I mean, during lockdown,
yeah,
I would say it was a top 3 show.
I agree.
You know, I went with a real specific number because, A, the sound was incredible.
Yes, it defied the laws of acoustics.
Yeah, it did. It totally did.
Because we're on this rooftop show in Anaheim, right by Disneyland.
Yeah.
It's so long.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is going to be terrible.
It was, well, we were all glassed in, and it was loud, and the crowd was just banging.
Yeah.
They were there for it.
And they were far enough apart, but close enough to kind of be a collective audience.
Yeah.
And they were having a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the only place I've seen that's done it that well during quarantine.
Yeah, it was... I mean, this might not be popular, but I'm not minding certain adjustments. Like, I kind of like shows like that. And remember that drunk girl? She was like, all you guys, the picture. No, you. Remember?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, we get a lot of bossy drunks.
It's kind of
shows.
nice to be like, COVID, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I would let you sit on my lap and take a photo, but COVID.
She was going for it. And we were like, you know what? Just
keep
do it over there. She's like, why? I'm like, but that was...
Pandemic?
Yeah.
Did you watch the news?
But it was... I was pleasantly surprised. It was fun. I loved our lineup. I loved, like, doing a nice 20, and you got to do a nice 20, and we were out. It was just... I don't mind it. I don't mind these type of shows.
It sucked in the, when the shutdown first happened and we were dark for so long. That felt weird because you're like, I'm a comedian and I'm not doing comedy. Yeah. What's my purpose? Yeah. It's just very strange. I think everyone in every field kind of went through something like that. But now that shows have been slowly kind of opening up in these little weird spots around town.
Yeah.
The odd thing is the comedy clubs can't open because there's too much attention on them.
Yeah.
Because there's so much bureaucracy. They're like, no comedy store. But like a rooftop in Anaheim, no one cares.
Yeah, man. I was doing a joke. I did a beach show. I did a roof. I did the back of a church. It's like next week. It's like, what are you going to see me? A tree? I mean, we're everywhere.
Yeah, it honestly feels like we're just performing at Street Fighter levels.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like you're doing a bazaar in downtown, and then you're doing.
But here's the thing. Comedy is whatever we are, right?
Yeah.
Or like I do these parking lot shows like I did with you, which is the super most professional, fun one. Tammy Joe, it's awesome. And we're just like ranting lunatics to a parking lot. Yeah. So I kind of feel like we're kind of where we're supposed to be in a sense. Like there's only one, when you see like a person like babbling crazy in front of Coffee Bean, like I'm going to move away. I've got the look. I'm not allowed to show this, but I just happen to have a club, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
but you got really good at your babbling.
Yes.
So that's why it's allowed.
Well, I was allowed. I arranged my babbling within a 60-minute hunk.
Yeah.
And it kind of was
cohesive. It's an engaging babbling.
Yes.
Like the guy down Ventura, like he's got to tighten it up. He's got a lot of fat he's got to cut.
Too much setup. Yeah. It's a lot of stuff to get to.
I want to be like, look, you've got a lot of raw talent. You got to like tighten it up. And can I work with you?
Yeah.
You already hang out the Coffee Bean. Let's write.
But I feel like, in a way, like I did this show last week. You got to do it. It's behind the church. And it was like 100 people. But it was. Yeah, dude. It was.
What show is this? And where?
Jimmy Shin. It's awesome.
Oh, okay.
It's in my hood, in Los Feliz, behind this Trader Joe's. And I literally felt like it was old school Shakespeare. Like if I was alive. Like everyone was sitting on like steps that went up like a Coliseum.
Yeah.
And they can do their own thing because it's a church. But it's outside. And they're there for it, dude.
There is this element of like we're in this together.
Yes.
It is fun. It's like summer camp. It's this different vibe. There's so much goodwill because everyone is just happy to be at something.
Yes.
There was so much choice pre-COVID. We all got jaded. We just thought this is the way the world works. I have unlimited, especially being in LA. Mm-hmm. Like every band comes through here. But now it's like you hang on to every morsel.
I do find that there's kind of a level of bullshit that is being wiped away, and I do feel like new relationships are forming. Like I'm getting to know you.
Yeah.
I'm getting to know other comics that I don't know, and it's kind of just like everyone is the one click is the community now.
Yeah.
We're not. Everyone's just kind of like, hey man, how are you? How you doing?
Totally. I think we're able to breathe a little bit and be a little more human.
Mm-hmm.
Like before we started rolling, I was just talking about like, and you were talking a little earlier in the pod here where some good is coming from this. Like obviously it's not ideal, but hopefully there are some things that carry over after this. And for me, I realized like, oh, maybe I didn't have to go that hard. Pre-COVID, because I would do 3 shows a night.
Yeah.
3 or 4. I'd just be bouncing around town. And, like, what is the delta on what I'm learning from doing and at what cost? Like, I have much more of a rounded life now.
Dude, first of all, what's that term? The delta?
Delta?
It's
like an engineering term. It's sort of like the delta.
Wait, are you a super engineer?
I'm not a super. I was like a very whatever engineer, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So the delta is like what?
Delta is like the difference.
Okay, really. So it's like, what is it when you say? Then they say Charlie. When instead of saying the letter, they say the word.
Z.
Well, Z is Canada more. But when you say Alpha Bravo, it's to make sure people got the actual letter
like
of
military
the word.
talk.
But yours is more
Delta.
engineer talk. The Delta.
I just assume everyone knows Delta.
That was so smart.
You know, I'm just realizing right now that like people don't know what the fuck I'm talking about when I say Delta.
Dude.
Like everyone went to engineering school, right?
Stanford's here in this.
Really? Well, I went to UW, so.
UDizzle?
UDizzle, dude.
Wait, what's UW?
University of Washington.
Oh, okay.
You ever perform there?
No, I've done a lot of colleges, but I haven't done that one.
Yeah.
But I've done some time in colleges.
Yeah, a little bit here and there, but less. Especially nowadays, we're going to do like a Zoom show at Stanford.
Yeah. But going back to what you said was, here's what I want to say is like comedy was so hot. Like it started getting really hot. It was because of podcasts and Netflix. And the last 5 years, it was like the superest, sexiest, popularist art form.
Yeah.
So every club was jammed up.
Yeah.
So if you're getting those offers, you're going to do them. And you're getting, you're doing your craft. But I agree with you. It's like we are becoming more, you're right. I'm like,
human.
I'm smelling the roses a little bit too. Like I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah. Like I'm doing enough shows to be making progress and like writing some new material. But I have enough time throughout the week to kind of be a normal person instead of like go
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And then you just have no time for anything else. And then you blink and like so many years go by.
Well, I mean, how old are you?
36.
And how long you been doing it?
Long time, like 18 years?
18
Yeah, man.
years.
I started when I was 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I started when I was 19.
Whoa.
But I had
You're youngin' too then. That's rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my heroes were always people that, started it young, and I knew that I wasn't going to go. Like, I mean, you obviously are very smart, and you knew that you could engineer too, but
the thing is, I knew I wanted to do stand-up before. Like, engineering was just like to make my parents happy, and it was a means to an end. So,
Yeah.
like, I'm lucky, and I think you're lucky too, that you knew so early on
yeah.
to get that kind of runway.
Yeah, I knew that if you started young, I had the energy, and I had the desire, and I had the need and the desperation, and it was only like after one like open mic, like I could do 15 bad ones in a row, but if I got just one teeny sliver of validation when people were like, you should keep doing this, and I was like delusional enough, I'd be like, really?
But you realize, like, looking back, that delusion you have as a comic when you first start, it's rocket fuel. It's necessary. Mm-hmm. It's easy to be like, oh, what was I thinking? But like, it's like so valuable.
Yeah.
When you're first starting out to be like, I can do that.
It is, and it's yeah, but what you do, I mean, there's reasons how people and why they get into it, but what you were saying earlier is like, it's not that you have to pull back. We never get a chance to pull back because we have to be animals 24/7. And you see how the circuit is now, from open micers to the biggest names. it's a beautiful. We're all in the same pot.
Yeah.
We're all coalescing and together, and you never stop because it's like, what's next?
Yes.
What's next? So it is. This is kind of like this forced thing of like, there's no FOMO.
Yeah, it was forced perspective.
Yes.
Because you weren't like, oh, everyone else is getting ahead. Everyone is just sort of on the sidelines.
Yeah.
So you can kind of breathe easy. Be like, all right, well, the world is taking a breath.
Yeah, and it is. It's true, and you do get a chance, because I've been doing this for 30 years, and I haven't had that chance, and you can't stop. So I don't want you to think that you weren't stopping. It's just because you can't. We're on that wheel.
Yeah.
No matter what job you get a guest spot, you get a movie. What's next?
Yeah, just trying to keep up. Otherwise, it's like out of sight, out of mind.
I know.
So when you started doing stand-up, did you just love stand-up, or was it a means to an end where you're like, oh, I want to do this, and then they usually pick from stand-ups? For me, it was SNL. That's why I got into stand-up.
Totally.
What about for you?
Same thing. Total means to an end. Like, I had no idea. I loved stand-up, but I wasn't like, I'm going to be a stand-up. Like, I watched comedy. I watched a lot of stuff. It was Eddie Murphy, Sam Kinison, Gary Shandling, Rodney, Joan Rivers, from different forms, for either to the Night Show or SNL, which was huge, raised me. I'm sure it raised you.
Yeah.
And I started as an extra, and I was doing extra work, and then somebody's like, you should try to become an actor. And I was like, well, how do you do that? And then I went through the machinations, which no one understands in this generation, of getting a headshot, getting fucking an agency book, mailing them out. And they're like, you don't have anything. They're like, you need tape. And then like people are like, you're funny. You should try an open mic. And so there was something called a drama log. I don't know if you know what that is. It was like the paper that we'd all buy in LA, and it was every coffee shop. So and I started going to open mics, and then I did it, and it was, weird, bizarre.
But you liked it?
I liked it because as an actor, you can submit or get submitted, and then you wait. And I just was like, and I think that's what stand-ups are.
Yeah.
We can't.
Yes.
I can't just go and play ball, or it's like I gotta. And I had all these ideas, so then I just started doing it. And back in the day, the early '90s, late '80s, it was coffee shops, and then working up for the sign up for the new faces.
Oh yeah.
So, and it was a potluck on Monday, but it was a means to an end. And then I got the audition for SNL, and I flew to New York, all that, didn't get it, and was like, what am I going to do? And then I started through the clubs, got it seen by somebody, got to audition for something, got, after multiple auditions, a commercial. Then through there, started getting more stuff, and then my acting was taking off. Then I became a name, and then colleges were like, hey, do you want to come in and work? And I was like, this is awesome, but I don't have
how much time did you have?
I'm like, I don't even have a half hour. So they're like, you could do 15 as like a special, like, name guest. So I would do colleges for people, and they would be the lead, and I would be like the pop-in 15. And that's how, and I literally probably had 8
minutes.
Yeah.
To stretch it.
Yeah.
You would do 8 and be like, what's your major?
Yeah.
You like it? Oh, is that your friend?
Yeah. A couple like, oh, is Zelda die? Whatever.
Yeah.
So, and then I worked from there, but then I was able to get in. So I was starting to get in the clubs, and then I got busy, but it was like in an 8 to 10 minute level of hosting and stuff. So, but I still never really headlined until I built up to it. And then when I started playing these B rooms, I would bring a lot of good comics with me, and I would, work from 15 to 25. And by the end of like a nice 2-month run, I might have an extra 10, 15 minutes. And that's how I built it out. But I didn't I went to lower rooms to start.
That's good. Instead of some people, that's like a common thing. Like even some social's really big now. They will pop off, like say on Vine or Instagram, and then they'll do a weekend somewhere. And stand up is such a different art form.
Completely.
Yeah. So like maybe they'll do, I think the better thing is to be like a night with, and then they have other comedians, or to slowly build, instead of like, hey, you're great at Instagram, now do an hour of stand up.
Yeah. I had a great agent, and she was like, look, this is what you can do. Bring a killer opener with you. who's going to push your merch. I didn't even have any merch, and who watches your act and gives you tags.
It's like a free writer.
Yeah. And but I would pay them too. And,
Yeah.
And then I'd have this idea, and we'd go to Einstein Bagels, in all these cities. And
I do that all the time. Just like tag it up and just like, oh, why don't you do this? It's just like part of the community of, at the Laugh Factory or wherever. If I see your set or you see mine, be like, what about this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like, here's a tag here and there. It's not the whole act, but it's like, try this at the end of that.
Some of the best jokes I have in my latest special are like people just popping tags on. And, it's beautiful.
So I think you're one of the rare cases where the acting really took off first and then the stand-up kind of caught up to it, right?
Yeah, like I started as whatever. Like I didn't know what I want to be. I just wanted to be in this business.
Yeah.
And I was an extra, and I did all these different things.
Did you grow up in LA?
No, I'm from Philly.
Okay. So then when did you come out here?
When I was 19.
Okay. And you were like, I want to be in the movies or what?
I had done a part in, what was that?
Nothing. That's such a thing. You can't cough and fucking no. Bro, it was a wrong tube, dude. It was a wrong tube.
Fuck it. You want to you, dude?
Get out of here! I'm like morphing.
Yeah, fuck it. Come on, I'm paranoid.
I know.
I started. There's a good breeze in here.
Yeah. It'll waft.
How much of a freak am I though?
No, you're just being super safe.
We had a mask.
It.
Like we were on the beach, like in Disneyland. We were that close, and that beach breeze was coming on, and I was like making sure I was down.
You're feeling the breeze. You had a windsock, and you go stand here when you talk to me. All right. So you moved from Philly.
So there was a movie called Dead Poets Society.
Oh yeah, Robin Williams. R.I.P. Great movie.
Yeah, that was my first thing ever in Hollywood. Got to be an extra in that.
And what's the process of being an extra for Dead? Do you just like submit like, hey, this is what I look like, and they go, you?
So I was like you, like at a kind of a young age, like 14-ish, 13-ish. I kind of knew I wanted to be in this business. I didn't know. I just liked watching TV.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd like to be on that. And I didn't know what it was.
Sure.
And I started taking like a little local acting class. And it was awesome because I equated to Venice Beach, where Venice Beach is like, if you're considered a freak or a weirdo, if you do something of talent at Venice Beach or what people perceive as talent, they love you.
Yeah.
So whether you're a good juggler, a good dancer, if you got a good joke, all of a sudden you're like, cool. And so this acting class was full of freaks.
Yeah.
But they were awesome. And the lady's like, you know what? You should really consider this as a life choice. And I was like, how do you do that? She's like, I don't know. I'm just a teacher, but you have something. And a lady my friend, who was like my buddy, his mom was a local actress who I would talk to, do plays and stuff. And she found out that Dead Poet Society was coming to town, and she had gotten on as background. And she says, hey, here's what they're looking for. I bet if I bring you down, you might be able to get on. And I was like, so I went down and I met, and they're like, will you cut your hair? Boom. Do you have this type of sweater from the 50s? Boom. Will you eat an orange in the scene? I'm like, yeah. And I was like, and they show up tomorrow. And I had 3 days, dude.
Whoa.
3, not 4.
That'd be funny. You go, I don't eat oranges.
No.
I'm out of here. You're like the diva extra. I'll do an apple, maybe a tangerine, but I'm not going to do an orange.
It's organic.
Talk to my agent.
So that's how, and then once I was on, I was like, this is it.
What was it like? So were you doing scenes with Robin and stuff, and just witnessing, it being shot?
I was
soaking it all in.
I was the movie theater scene.
Okay.
So all those, I don't know if you remember, but it was a scene where they go and they see, I think it was, they see his play. The kid who was playing in, I forget, he was the famous play, but he was the star of it, and that was his storyline, and I was in that scene as extra, and I'm just blown away. And I saw, I was literally at the craft service table grabbing a carrot, and I looked over, and Robin Williams was there eating hummus. Whoa. And I was I was working at Domino's at the time, and they gave me 3 days off, and I'm literally went from Domino's to looking at Robin Williams eat a carrot. Or eat hummus. I was eating the carrot, and I was.
This is good hummus.
Yeah,
that's a terrible Robin Williams impression.
but yeah, it was. But once I was on the set, I knew this is what I meant to be, And then I moved to LA
Mm-hmm.
after I saved up some money, and then I was like, I'm gonna come out to LA and become an extra, because I didn't have prospects. I hated school. I wasn't like you. Like you knew you wanted to do this, but you were probably, like you said, doing it for your parents.
Yeah, well, I had the engineering jobs in Long Beach, so that was like my rock, just financially, and to allow myself to live out here. And then I would just plow away at stand-up, because I knew if I just did enough stand-up, it would lead me to everything that I wanted to do. Like, I had control over stand-up.
Wow.
Acting is sort of like a lotto ticket.
Yes.
All this Hollywood stuff, like the auditions, and like you were saying, I hate, you go in and you just sit on your hands forever. A lot of acting is like stop and go, and a lot of waiting for the phone to ring. But stand-up, I just feel like active. I'm always moving.
Totally agree, and I can see that in your personality, and obviously this is why you do it and why I do it. And stand-ups are always,
I just control.
But
I love control.
But do we have it though, in terms of? I actually think we have it more now than we've ever did. But there was a time where you had to get passed at a club.
Yes.
And you had to hopefully get spots. But I will say now, with the ability to build your own audience socially,
Mm-hmm.
that is more control.
I think there's levels to it. If we're just talking like actor versus stand-up in the 90s, stand-up's still more control because you have shows at night. There's important people in the audience sometimes. You can get seen. As an actor, you have to crush it in the audition or whatever. There's like less chances for you to be seen.
Yes.
For your talent to shine through or whatever. So stand-up, even in the 90s, I think you have a leg up. But you do have to rely on these gatekeepers.
Yes.
So the people who book the club, the people who book the Tonight Show, so there's all these like bookers who you are beholden to, but it's still more opportunity than just like a straight up actor, I would say. Now there's this like 2.0 phase of ownership where you have podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
you have like doing Instagram sketches, doing Twitter, just like the gatekeepers are losing their grip over the pipeline.
Dude, I love where your brain's at, because I say that term all the time. And it's weird. Like, I think my generation of the mid to late 90s, early aughts,
Mm-hmm.
is the last kind of gatekeeper generation. I'm not saying people haven't popped off since then. Tons of people have. But in terms of old school.
Yeah.
And it's good and bad. Like, there is a cool thing about going through the machinations and being picked, but it's hella annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also something really cool about being self-made. I think that's the best.
Yeah.
And people that are so self-made that they create this kind of blue ocean strategy. Do you know that? Like, where blue ocean strategy is a thing, kind of like what they say the iPhone was, where it just kind of renders the competition obsolete because there's no competition. It just becomes its own thing. So if you see people come up in another way and they're like, people just gravitate towards it because they created literally their own path.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's how I feel. Do I like being blessed by a really cool casting director and a producer? Yeah, that's beautiful. But would I rather have no gatekeepers? 100%.
Sure. And the other side of it too is like, if you're not the darling,
Yes.
what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
You're just gonna like wait for the hot chick to like you?
It's 100%.
Yeah.
100%. There's a bevy of sixes out there
Yeah.
that need love.
This is true.
A bevy of them.
So I mean, I like that control and just ownership of it, and I'll audition for things here and there, and like I auditioned for SNL this year. I got so close. I got to like the very end.
So it was this
And then
year.
I did it. Yeah, and then like I would have flown to New York and done it, but COVID, so I did a tape.
Okay.
I did so many tapes, or I did like stand up first, and then they wanted like an audition tape, and I sent that in. I kept on hearing it's going through. Now Lorne and the writers are gonna watch it, and then again nothing.
Did you get feedback?
No, that's the other thing too. It's like they're so big, they're like such a big institution. They don't bother with, like, you know how many submissions they get? Like, they're busy. They don't give a shit about, not in a bad way. It's just they have bigger fish to fry. They're not going to be like, we like this, we like that. They just kind of like pick who they pick and then move on with the show.
Yeah.
But I mean, in hindsight, I talked about it on the pod too. It's just going through that process is kind of, there's not a lot of people who even got to that level. And to just be in the universe.
Yeah.
Because things flip so much on that show. Just like, it's cool to have fans in that building.
Yeah.
And to say that, like, I even got that far is cool.
I mean, was that your first time?
Like Neil Brennan got me this audition when they were coming here to LA. They were auditioning in IO West, in Hollywood. And so I auditioned there. But that wasn't, I don't count that like I do this one, because this one's like almost all the way. That one was just like maybe a second tier audition, because I didn't even go to New York for that one.
Look, you know what? I was just talking to Daryl Hammond. I think he was like 2 or 3 times in before he got it. So I think,
Yeah, they do that. That's like Melissa Villaseñor too. I don't think she got it on the first one. I think maybe like second or third.
And listen, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks.
I mean, you're on the radar.
Thanks, yeah.
I
Hey,
mean-
you too. Maybe you'll get Go, Jamie, we took our time. we really wanted to let it breathe, but you got it.
We wanted to see you get some stuff under your belt. But now,
We wanted you to get your comedy legs, and we think you're ready. We wanted you to marinate in the lab.
So we want you to be a correspondent.
That would be great, man. How great would that be? They just go, look, featured player Jamie Kennedy.
I would, dude. It would be. Here's the thing. It's like when you do that. So like when I auditioned, I think I was 23.
Yeah.
And I was like I had
That's the age to get it, though. Like, I'm older now, like, I think the sweet spot for SNL is if you write it, you catch it, like, in your 20s, like, early 20s, because you don't quite have a super defined, like, voice, but you have this raw comedy potential, and you and the show kind of grow together.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
And it's like you go in, you get thrown into the pit, and you just do whatever they need.
Yeah.
And if whatever they want, you're just available for.
Of course.
And and whatever idea, I always heard it was whatever idea, you just keep pitching it to writers, pitching it. And, you hope just to get in a sketch, if it's just a line.
Yeah. I almost feel, just with being in the business long enough to have perspective on that place, even if you touch it, it's a win.
Yeah.
If you touch it in any way. Because
Totally.
sometimes you hear these stories, people who lasted a year or whatever, you're like, oh, that must suck. Nah, it's net positive.
Totally.
You went to Harvard.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I totally agree. It's because it's the super gold,
It's the
platinum
gold standard,
standard of comedy. And it's been that way my entire life.
I'm wondering, so take me through that audition, like that whole process. So you went to New York, you're 23. They put you up in a hotel, like, beforehand?
Yeah, so you go. I had been doing stand-up, like, here.
How long were you doing stand-up before you got this?
Probably 3.5 years hardcore, though.
Uh-huh.
But, like I said, I started in 90, then I stopped a little bit because I had a couple bad sets. And I was like, and then 1991, I really went hard on it. So it was towards the middle of, like, May of 23, of when I was 23, right before my 24th birthday. So it was probably 2.5, almost 3 years. But, like, doing open mics.
So how'd they see you? What was the process?
A talent scout by the name of Pam Thomas, who was my manager. She took me on, and there was a club on the west side, not too far from here, called Igby's. And I had done a show, and she had found out about it. And she says, I think you're really good. I would like to take you to Lauren. And I was starting to bubble up in the open mic circuit, and then I was getting, like, a spot here at, like, the Ice House Annex, a spot on New Faces on Monday. Potluck, I got picked a couple times, but just because I got lucky. And the Factory was much more of a showcase club, like that, like how every night there's a name on.
Yeah.
It used to be mostly up and coming, so there was like who the industry would come out, who are we looking for, who are we looking for, and they'd have different showcases. So then I got, and then I met with Lauren, just, in Paramount, and he says, "When you want to come to New York?" And I said, "Yes." I was, "No, I'm busy." And then flew there, hotel, stayed all day, just pretty much all night, just going through my act, because I had known at that time it was more stand-ups. I think it was probably even equal, or maybe a teeny bit more, where it wasn't rare for a stand-up to get on.
Oh, yeah, there were so many. Like, my generation growing up on SNL, there were so many stand-ups, like Spade, Sandler, Schneider, I think. Kevin Nealon.
Tons of that.
Eddie Murphy. Just, yeah.
And so that was because I wasn't I could do improv, but I wasn't coming from an improv place.
Yeah.
So I thought I had a good chance. And then I auditioned.
What did you do? Did you do stand-up? Or
I did stand-up, but I did like characters and
okay.
a couple impressions in there. And I did, I thought I did very well.
I always hear when people recount their stories of auditioning that it's this dark room.
No, mine was at a club.
Oh, you did it at a club.
I did it at a club. They had it. I had mine at a stand-up club.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah, I know.
And
I kind of killed. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is like you said, young, malleable. Was I green? Yes. But did I have raw potential? Yes. And then within 2 days, then I left the next day, and then I found out that he didn't get it. Mm. And I'm like, why? And they're like, you're just too green. Mm. And I was like, okay. But I thought I did. Chris Farley was there.
He was at the show?
At the show, dude. And I was like, and he was like, good set, man. Good set, man. I was like, I felt like, and I was, it was pretty insane.
Dude, that's crazy.
And I think that year, that year Molly Shannon auditioned with me. She didn't get it. And I think that was the year. I think Janine Garofalo was already on. And I think Sarah Silverman might have got it that year. And they were like, they're only picking women and you're too green. And then the next year, Molly Shannon got it.
Yeah.
And then 2 years after, they were interested again. But they had said I had done too many movies and I was kind of more known. Yeah. And they like to develop people.
Yeah. You were kind of already becoming a name.
Becoming a thing. And I was like, well, I'll do whatever. And they're like, no. But now
they're ready.
Well, look at what you're saying is, I mean, they have so many people come on. So I think it's a mishmash of everybody. Yeah. They have actors all the time. Alec Baldwin's on every week.
That's true. Yeah, it sucks. It's hard enough to get on the cast, and then you have Jim Carrey and Maya Rudolph, and it's great for the ratings and for the audience. But as a cast member, you're like, oh, I spent my whole life trying to get on this show, and it's sort of like when the heyday happened. Then all these giant guys started coming back, which is cool, for the scene. But then it sucks for the feeder system. The door guys, it's harder to get past now.
Well, so when did this happen? And tell me your take on that.
Mm-hmm. What, the Renaissance?
Yeah, I think I know when it happened, but you tell me.
I know when it happened. I know very well when it happened.
Give me the delta.
Yeah, you're using it, baby. Soon I'm going to be making Delta just t-shirts.
You should, dude.
Yeah, the Delta. I think when Adam Egget took over the Comedy Store, because Tommy was running it for a while, and Tommy just had this old school mentality where it's just very boys club and frat, even just things that are a no-brainer to let a comedian perform, pass Hannibal. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he would still be come Monday, do 3 minutes, or he would still make big people eat humble pie just to go through the motions. And a lot of them didn't want to do it. So there was a bit of a moat between Comedy Store people and famous people. Mm-hmm. Or they just go, I don't want to go through. And then when Adam took over, he was more of a businessman. He had already been working at the club and knew comedy pretty well. He used to work at the Tempe Improv as well, so he knows stand up, and it's a no brainer. He's like, all right, yeah, Spade. And he starts being very welcoming, and then people notice the culture of the Comedy Store start to change. Mm-hmm. So then Rogan starts coming back, because I think Ari Shaffir was shooting his special in the OR, and just Rogan had never come to the store after the Mencia thing, the fallout. He was just doing the Ice House all the time. Mm. But then Ari Shaffir used to open for him all the time, and he's like, I got to see my boy do his special. So he came back to the store, noticed things are different, the culture is changing, so he started coming back. Mm-hmm. And then all these, Judd Apatow started coming back, and it just became the place. And then Rogan would talk about it on the podcast. So I think it really happened with Adam taking over and just having more of an open mind and clear mind when it comes to how to run that place.
Yeah, and I feel like comedy at the same time, and I believe that became the epicenter, and comedy became so hot.
Yes.
With podcasts and specials and Netflix. And so, and there's all types of different shows being put on there. Mm-hmm. So I just feel in the last 5 or 6 years, I would say.
I think, big part of it, I think, is Rogan coming back.
Obviously.
Because he's like the sun and everything orbits around it, you know? So he came back, and he's just so big in so many fields. You learn. Sometimes I forget that he's more than a comedian. Because I'll do shows where I'm in the lineup with him at the Comedy Store, like it's the main room or the OR, and he's just like a peer, like a stand-up in a green room, you know? It's like the way we talk on the roof in Anaheim. We're just like soldiers at war or whatever. There's a brotherhood or a sisterhood, whatever, of comics. And you're just shooting the shit. You do a set, talking, and then you get in the parking lot, and then you see like crazed people. Joe, I love you. Like grown men.
Yeah.
Like 35-year-old. Can you sign my on it? you know, like, and you're like, oh yeah, okay. He's that big.
Yeah.
He's like a culture mover. He's not just a stand-up comedian.
Oh yeah.
And not only, his podcast is huge. He's a huge comedian. And then UFC.
Yeah.
He's such a titan in different, like 3 different industries.
Definitely.
That it's this weird perfect storm of like larger than comedy. And then he gives birth to like the second generation of podcasting. You've got like Theo, you've got Santino, you've got like, Tom kind of had his own thing, or like Bert, but they all feed off of each other.
Yeah.
And it's just orbit. People want to know like the Marvel universe of podcasting.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And it starts
like... It started with Rogan coming back to the store, and then everyone's talking about the store on every podcast, and it's just like...
I know.
Everyone's talking about the dance hour, you know, and then... I've got my own lane. I don't know. Sometimes, like, because I see these guys at the club and stuff, and we're all friends.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you're like... Because you're so close to it, you're adjacent, but you're like, your vibe is different. Like, we're all huge fans of each other, but, like, I don't know if, like, super MMA guys... love what I do. And sometimes you could be like, oh, it'd be great to draft off of that a little bit. Like I have some friends who are able to, because their personalities are more aligned with that. Yeah. And you're like, oh, that'd be great if, but you're like, I have a different thing. I can't help it.
No, but I think that's what's beautiful about, like you were saying about this store. So many people, and like you said, there are like the doormen all the way up to, huge names, right? The biggest in the business, and it is a beautiful ecosystem.
Totally.
And it is unfortunate if people aren't getting their particular time, but it's great in the sense that you're in
it's
the
good
best,
for everyone.
You're in the best ocean in the planet.
Totally.
You know what I mean? But yeah, and I think there's going to be waves of it. I think there's going to be times where who knows what's going to happen now, but like, yeah, it is. I think it's good that it's a mix of everybody. I personally feel, you've been doing this 18, which is a long time. I've been doing it almost 30. Comedy has never been more communal. Like, I feel
totally
like I don't know you, but you reached out to me. You slid.
I slid in the Jamie Kennedy DM.
He slid in the Delta
But look,
M's.
we did it. The Delta. No, you're getting away. You're not using it right now. the Delta M's.
But it's like, of course I want to do your pod. And it's like, it's a beautiful time, especially like the bullshit of COVID.
Yeah.
Of like, let's just wipe away the shit. Okay, how you doing? Are you breathing?
Yeah.
No cough? Okay, good. How's your finances?
Right.
Okay, let's try to do a set here behind this fucking
and also the
taco truck.
We were talking about the 2.0 of ownership, let's say. I think that's why there is so much more camaraderie amongst comedians, because before there was a little bit of crabs in a bucket because there's X number of spots, and someone getting something, you're like, like those are kingmakers, and like that's the only way to get in. But now we're like, this is the way. Come do my pod, and then I'll do yours, and it's just it's like a commune or something. So stand-ups are helping each other.
I know, and that's like. So I have to tell you, it's so different than what it used to be. It's beautiful.
You have great perspective because you had like that model that predates this, and then you're seeing what's happening now.
Well, yeah, and it's like, I have so much to say on this. It's like when I would do it, we would do like 10 comics would showcase, and one would get picked.
Yeah.
And it was like you said, if you're climbing up a wall, there's only, one peg to put in the hole. Well, now the wall's this, and everybody has their own ropes. And it's like, hey, everyone can because everyone can get your stuff. So yes, if it's for the Tonight Show and they only look one comic, yes,
Yeah.
one's gonna get picked. But since that's not the only place to do stand-up anymore,
Yeah.
it's wide open, and it's such a different thing of what it was. It was more cutthroat. I'm not saying it's not cutthroat now, but I do feel the walls have been knocked down. The egos have been in check.
Yeah.
And like I remember a year ago, people were like, dude, you really ingratiated yourself into the LA scene. You're everywhere. And I'm like, well, it's different because it used to be you would blow up here, get a name, go on the road, get your hour, put your hour on TV, tour, make a lot of money on tour, and bounce. You didn't, this was a showcase. But when the clubs became the hottest clubs in the world, and every night they're packed on a Tuesday, beyond wanting more and more and more, you're like, yo, I got to be in the scene. And when people ask you to be on a show, it's like a fucking honor.
Yeah.
And especially everyone you're performing with. So it switched. It became much more communal. I think it's healthier, but I'm sure there's competition, but also, I'm coming at it from a different perspective. I'm like a thing, whatever I am.
Yeah.
So people are like, oh, get that thing, add him in. He'll help sell a couple tickets.
Yeah. And they're like, hey, can you promote the show?
Yeah.
Hey, could you please? Sometimes I'm like, do you want me on the show or do you want me to promote the show? Also, there's rules. There's like unwritten rules that some promoters don't know about. Like if I'm doing a guest set somewhere, I'm just doing like 10 or 15 on a show, I'll throw the flyer on my story. You're getting a story.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll overstep. They'll be like, can you post about it like in your feed?
Yeah.
Like 2 times a week or whatever, and be like, I'm saving that for when I headline.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? Like also that gets the least traction. When you post a flyer of a gig, it's like nothing. It's like a huge dud. So I'll only use it if I'm headlining somewhere. So they want me to burn my fans on a guest set. You're like, no, I'm saving that for me. Are you booking me because you want a good show, or are you booking me to be a bringer? Because I'm not that guy if you need that.
Yeah, dude, I love that. It's so true. If they make it simple, like add to your story, I'll pop it in. Yeah. But you're right.
Sometimes they want too much.
Yeah, and it's like, it's like this, just make it easy for me. But yeah, that's another thing that's changed, the promotion. Like, we had to promote before, but the people would help you. But now it's like, I'm doing a show. Great. I want you to be on my show. Yeah. Boom. Tag it. Add your Facebook. Hashtag me. It's so much fun.
I wanted to be like, you're a great actor if you book a TV show and they don't force you to live tweet it. Like that's so no true. One's telling Daniel Day-Lewis to live tweet or post anything.
I don't even think he has a Friendster yet.
Friendster.
He's really
that's a deep cut. What if he does? And he has no friends.
He's like the news.
It's just him cobbling. Daniel Day-Lewis, 0 friends.
Wow.
Oh yeah. So Scream. I got to bring that up because we were talking about it. When did that happen? Like, or what was your big thing? Do you think? Like, what did you notice was like a big career shift for you?
It's so interesting because, like, really, I do owe so much of my acting, which people really know me more from. Although now, I mean, the town knows me as a stand-up, and actually, it's a mix. People in certain towns always knew me as a stand-up.
Yeah.
But certain ones are like, I didn't know you did it. And because it's like I've done specials on everywhere. Yeah. Except Netflix, but like you just, people, if you don't see
you have no idea what people's perceptions of you. Like, I remember I did this one, like my very first YouTube video went viral. It was this video called like Afghan Wedding. Right. And it got like the old fashioned way, back when it was like so hard to get one. So, and then there are some people, like I'll do videos and stuff on Instagram and it'll make the rounds occasionally. And someone will be like, holy shit. Like, I haven't seen you since, like, they think I haven't done anything since that one video.
Since the Afghan.
You know what I mean? I've done so much since then.
The Afghan video?
But to them, I'm just like that guy.
Yeah, totally.
And they go, oh, cool, you're doing stuff. Like, they thought I was just sitting on my hands until they saw this thing.
I always say that to people. Like, if you haven't been in a Marvel movie in the last 10 years,
they're like, idea.
You're still acting? Well, no, I've done, there's a lot. I'm sorry. Because it's like super, super pop culture, but there's a lot of other stuff we're doing, but, so it went to Redbox.
Yeah, like they don't know you're doing anything unless they see you on a cup
Yeah.
at Jack in the Box.
Totally.
They go, I didn't think you were working. You're not on the cups
Yeah.
of my sodas.
It's like, but wait, what was your question?
The big career shift, like the big thing for you.
So I was doing, I started getting guest spots. I think The Factory was the most easiest for me.
Mm-hmm.
And a casting director came in. It was actually, another comedian. God damn it, Cheryl. Cheryl, what's her last name? I'm sorry, Cheryl, if you see this. She had a day job working at like a local ad firm in OC as like a copywriter. And she said, look, they're looking for a comic to do an ad for El Pollo Loco. And she picked 5 of us, and we went down, and they'll pay you $100, which is a lot of money now.
Yeah.
$100. And she said, screen test. So we screen tested, and El Pollo Loco said, we love it, but we're not going to do this campaign. But I had this tape. She then did something with Vans sneakers, and Vans, she gave them my tape. And Vans says, oh, we like him. Let's audition him. I went and did a test spot for Vans, and then they went, and the guy said, okay, here's like how the commercial would be. Here's like an outline of it, and this guy would, we'd find a guy. And the president of Vans is like this dude from OC. He's like a chill dude, and he's like, well, what about that guy? And they were like, well, he's like an unknown actor. We'll go and cast. He goes, I think he's great. And it was, dude, it's literally like that. And I got 3 commercials, and I had made like I remember I made like $89,000 or $9,000 from Domino's because my mom was helping me with my taxes the year before. Uh-huh. And then I remember I was gonna make $9,200 for the campaign, which was a lot. It's still a lot. Yeah. And I did 3 commercials, and they were only on MTV.
Oh, dude.
And
back then, though, MTV?
All the time. And that was post SNL, so I was depressed. Boom, didn't know what to do. Getting these guest spots, boom. And those commercials, because back then you could say, well, he's the guy from MTV. Even though I didn't have a show. And those really started opening. So then I started getting auditions for guest spots, and then I got on a sitcom, and the WB. I started getting stuff on that. I got on Ellen's old show. She was very helpful for me when she had a sitcom.
She wasn't mean to you?
She was sweet.
No, she wasn't mean to you, dude?
She was, man, that's a whole, I owe Ellen a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I owe Ellen a lot. And if you want to go down that road.
No, it's just in the news, so that's why.
It's just what's happening to her. Okay. People are complaining about her being mean.
Yeah, I know how far.
You're on. Okay. It's like your boss is being mean to you in the. You're at courtside seats at the Super Bowl every day. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry if there was an argument. Did you check your surroundings again? You're at Super Bowl every day.
Yeah.
Courtside seats.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So Ellen is probably. Now you got me off going on.
No, it's
she
okay.
was. Ellen was like I owe her so much.
Yeah.
I got cast in her show, and she I'll never forget this. She said he's funny. We did rehearsal, and she goes, give him more. And she said, I remember this. She said she always wanted people around her to be funny because it's only going to make the show better. She said that.
Yeah.
And I did 2 or 3 episodes because she thought I was funny. And it's like, that's the opposite of me.
Yeah.
That's the opposite.
Yeah, not everyone does that.
No. And I think, like, obviously I'm not day to day, and I don't know what those people's gripes are, you know, and I'm sorry. But Jesus Christ, Steve Jobs was apparently an asshole. Guess what you got?
Hey, and guess what you got? You got 2 episodes with Ellen with Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah, I mean,
that's like an iPhone.
Yeah.
Right?
You got the Christmas app. And then I think I got a Valentine's Day. I wanted the puppy app where she came out, but that was star-studded. I think she had Oprah. But
So
I knew she was coming out way before everybody else.
How?
Because everybody knew that what her life was, but it was private, you know.
Did you know it was going to be written into the storyline, or?
I had heard, and I was really hoping, because I literally paid Tad, the wacky neighbor. Literally, that was like my.
That's hilarious.
I know, dude. And I was like, came in the candle shop, and it was beautiful, man. Jolie Fisher, Piven was on. It's just, it was a ton of people, and it was
also, it kind of shows you of the time that it was when. I remember when that happened, her coming out on TV, and it was just such a seismic event.
Seismic?
Yes.
She was on the cover of Time and I think Newsweek simultaneously.
And like, it seems like it would be nothing today. But at the time, that could have been career. Like, it was very brave to do. I mean, it sounds so cliche to say brave or whatever, but like, to be where you are in the entertainment industry and choose to write that into the storyline, it's like,
dude,
it's a big swing.
The hugest swing. She came out. She put it all on the line. She trailblazed. She's a woman. She's, in the gay community. I mean, she was the OG. She was the Friendster of that. You know what I'm saying? And so, I don't know what the original question was, but in terms of Ellen, she's been nothing but good to me. And I've done her show multiple times. Like, here's what I want to say. God, you got me going down a rabbit hole.
Well, because not everyone has this relationship with someone who's kind of in the crosshairs and can paint a more nuanced picture of someone's personality. I'm gonna
tell you, because I really, I enjoy talking to you. Is that Ellen? I've been on her show, her sitcom, I think twice. Like I said, totally encouraging. Totally wanted the show to be better. I did her talk show, I think, 3 times. And like when a comic, first of all, I've watched all of her specials. Completely unique voice. Completely hilarious.
Yeah.
Doesn't play off any type of identity politics. It's just funny.
I love that. Yeah.
Just funny. And unique. Then, dude, how about this? How about, and I think you're going to agree with this, is that when a comic is great is when they laugh. Do you know what I mean? Like, some of the best comics will laugh. If they don't like it, they won't laugh. But when they laugh, they'll laugh. Like Janine Garofalo, I love her. She's kind of a tough cookie. But when she laughs, she laughs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Ellen laughs. You know what I'm saying? And she's hilarious. That's what I'm saying. Janine is hilarious, but we'll also laugh.
Yeah.
So Ellen is a real, she's like, she's not like, that's a sign of a super secure person.
Yeah, just very giving and willing to be open enough to give that to someone.
Have you ever been around a comic who won't laugh?
Oh, yeah.
And you're like,
that's the word. Like, why are you in this?
Because
something people, it's amazing to be.
But like any comic that that's good will laugh.
Yeah.
And if they don't laugh, you're like, what's your problem, dude?
It sounds so simple, but sometimes you do so much stand-up, people forget to have a good time. Like, you forget to have fun.
Yeah, but they'll like hold it back because they don't want to but Ellen has always been an open-minded person who loved comedy. And obviously I don't work on the show, but I'm sorry. This is what the new culture is calling for, right? You want a woman, you got it. You want a LGBTQAI. I'm sorry. I'm literally.
I had this.
Trying to get all the letters.
I wrote the worst joke. I'm like, you guys know LGBT plus? I thought it was a streaming service where you could see all the Will and Graces. It's so. But then there's another part because I had to Google the joke where I'm like, where does the plus go? And the community doesn't even know because some people's the searches are like LGBT plus, some of them are LGBTQ plus, some of them are LGBTQIA plus. So even they're like, I'm not a plus. You're a plus. No. Mine's I deserve a letter. You're a plus.
I'm sorry. That's funny. I'm sorry.
It is funny.
Funny.
That's like pretty innocuous.
Well, the A is aromantic.
No, asexual, I believe.
I think it's
aromantic's a thing.
I think so. I'm pretty sure. I want the fact checkers in the comments.
And then the other part of the joke was just like, you could just tell when they got
I'm
tired
not
of
a plus.
adding letters, you know, where they go LGBTQIA, okay. And what? Just fucking throw a plus. Just plus. I'm tired. I'm not just plus.
Wait, I want to finish Ellen. I want to comment.
Yeah,
on it.
yeah.
So anyway, Ellen's been very good to me, and there was a time when she didn't have to because I was like literally a one-line guy, and so, and again, I don't know what's going on, but they're on the hard. They're on a humongous. They're on a beautiful rocket, and it's gonna get tense.
Yeah.
And that I've been on a ton of movie sets with stories you'll never hear, but you love the movies. And guess what? There's been a lot of tension.
Yeah.
And guess what? That's called the creative process. You know, but
I've been on sets where, you know, I mean, mostly they've been fine, but like I've heard people yell. Yeah.
it happens.
It happens, yeah. Especially when you're on the clock and it's getting late.
Fuck
and
yeah.
there's a lot of people involved. Sometimes people are just being kind of loosey and then someone has to kind of lay the hammer down.
Dude, there's millions of dollars at stake.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to what you were saying, it's so funny because it's such a funny joke, but it's like, can you make it? You can make it more than I can make it. But it's like,
I feel like it's so like popsicle jokey. There's no ill will there.
No, there isn't.
It's more of like a
the
convention joke then.
Dude, it's so true. And what I want to say is that like there's something I just read, dude. I want to tell you this. Is that sexual preference, look this up, is now considered offensive. Because people say, I don't have a chance to pick. It's just what I was born as. And it's like, well, yeah, but that's your preference. If people ask you what your preference is, it's like, I like women. But that's how I feel, you know? If other people like men or other people like women or whatever, or like to fluctuate, that's fine. But there's a new article saying that sexual preference is now, you can't use that term. And so that's right for comedy. And what to say is, with all this stuff is that comedy, the issues are people think we're being insensitive. No, we're seeing things from a perspective that we've never seen, and we're going to joke about it. And we're not trying to be mean to you. We're just going to joke.
And also, I think people, like a lot of times when we're on stage, people think that it's the final week of your Broadway run and it's super tight. Like, you don't know that this may be something that I thought of on the car ride to the show.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't do well, then I might tweak it. So like sometimes they just take whatever set you're doing as like gold or platinum. And you go, no, it's still a work in progress. So if I made a misstep, don't crucify me. Like, it's not there yet. So that's one angle. And then the other is that like sometimes it's just a joke and my intention isn't to harm a group of people or yeah. So sometimes I think I don't know, I always have this analogy, like if you don't like a Drake song, you go, I don't like that song, but then you like the album. You don't hate Drake. But with jokes, people will be enjoying themselves for the whole set, and then one joke, they just tap out. They're like, now I hate this guy. Let's go, just sit that joke out, hop back in.
It's so true, dude. It's like that's what I was trying to say. It's like, yeah, everything is everything, and I'm whatever you want to do, it's fine. But don't think I can't joke about it.
Yeah, there are some jokes. Look, we're around comedy so much. We see so much stand-up. There are jokes I don't care for. And I'm like, that's just not for me.
You get offended?
I don't get offended.
You don't get offended. You just don't like the joke.
Yeah, it's so hard to... But I could see how I'm like, oh, that could be... But I'm not... I just go, that's what it is.
But you don't get offended.
How would I? Or what would you...
Never.
It would take a lot. I have so many jokes that I think like syntax-wise and just structurally are so great, but I guess technically they're offensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, where I'm like, guys, just... Joke structure-wise, that was pretty airtight.
Yeah.
Just, put that aside. It's pretty airtight.
Yeah.
The Scream thing I want to talk about. So when did that happen?
So after all that stuff, we went real left. Then I started getting auditions, and then I got an audition for Scream.
Was this kind of after the Ellen stuff and just guest starring on a bunch of shows?
After Ellen, and then I'd started shows. I had some commercials, and then I started to get in rooms for films, and it was like everything was not like how it is now. Together it was like commercials and TV and guest spots.
Very different.
Pilots. And then I got a pilot, and I was on that, and that didn't go. But that pilot then led to some movie auditions that I didn't get. And then Scream was one. And I was like, there was like a young unknown cast, you know, the only star was Courtney, and everyone else was getting known, you know what I mean, but they weren't named yet. And then they were like, we're looking for young people, and then came back again, and it was like, what's going on? And
I love how they do that. Like they're trying to ice the kicker. Okay, for the 5th time.
Well, I mean, you know, even today I'm still like, okay, am I in the mix? But it's like. It just kept going, and I just, you know, Wes Craven, God rest his soul, I really had no credits. I mean, I had what I had, which are credits, but like I didn't have movie credits, and I was just getting.
That's very cool that you've been the beneficiary of 2 people who just liked what you were doing. You know, like the OC Vans guy, and then Wes Craven. They just go, I just like something about this
Ellen,
guy. Ellen, yeah.
Like, no, I have been like, here's my. My take on it. It's like, I forget the 3rd P, but do you know what they always say? The 3 Ps: preparation, professionalism, something else equals opportunity.
Perseverance.
Yes, I think it's that. It's the 3 Ps.
You go, or is it preparation H?
Preparation.
But that doesn't make sense.
Preparation plus.
I think the guy who made the quote had hemorrhoids.
Yes, it's 3 Ps. That's it. It's the 3 Ps. P3. And so, like, I always believed that, like, I was, like, naive, like, this, like, you know, like, little girl. Like, I was like, okay, so if I work hard and I do 3 sets a night and I get funnier and I get laugh. Like, I always thought, if you kill, you're going to get your set, right? Well, that's not always the case. Yeah. You can kill. Or I killed in the audition, you're going to get the job. That's not always the case. Yeah. And then I always thought that. And for a while, it was working when it worked. It was like when people did like me, they were like, I like him because he was good. And then I didn't realize until later on, there's a lot of politics.
Yes,
There's a lot of like, yo, we got to fill this quota. There's a lot of, you know, do we want to hang out with this person?
Yeah.
That's a big thing. Like,
for sure.
Do you want to hang out with this person for 2 months in a city? Are they going to be annoying? And so I could have probably worked that angle a little bit more because I just was about my work.
Right.
But now I'm getting more social.
Yeah. There's just so many variables. All you can do is like, your best, do what you do, and then forget about it. The rest is out of your hands.
I feel it's weird because I feel like it was easier to get a job back in the day. And I feel like there's more. You can audition for YouTube Red Plus.
There's so many.
Yes.
It's like I almost feel like, you know how there's a gold rush the early years of Hollywood when there was just so much opportunity because there was no one doing it. I think there's a little more of that just because there's so many avenues now. There's like a web thing. There's branded content video. There's, you know, Hulu. There's just so many streaming services. And then there's like this stuff. There's just so many outlets.
It's insane. But I do feel like they kind of overthink it. Like they overthink still. It's weird. Back in the day, you could go and you can audition for a director and I don't know, like Tony Scott, you know who that is?
Yeah.
Legendary director, did Top Gun. He did Enemy of the State, a movie I was in. All right, I don't know if this is a good impression. Fucking try like fucking, and I would do is like, yeah, all right, like that. Fucking had a big cigar, and he's like, try like that, fucking try it like that. I was like,
so you just guessed what he wanted you to do? That's his directing style. You just nod and do it again.
And he's like, I like it, try it. And he goes, will you be willing to do it like this, eh? It was the sweetest guy, an icon, Ridley Scott's brother.
Yeah.
Multiple movies. And he's like, it's fucking great. And he's like, you want to go to Baltimore? And I was like, what? He's like, Baltimore. I'll fucking do this. Get the fuck out of here. And then, like, literally that day, my agent called. He's like, he likes you. And then we're on the set. He was like, yeah, I like what you did. The character, I'm going to call it Jamie. So he literally wrote a character because he liked me, and I was on this movie for like 3 months because of him. But it was in the room. There was a rapport. So he would have a huge casting director, and he liked you or he didn't like you. You would know right there.
Yeah.
Now it's like, dude, I read for like a fucking guest spot before COVID of like the 9th episode of like a TNT show that airs after midnight, and there was like 35 people in the room, and I'm like, what's
dude.
Oh man, like where are we at with this? I'm like, I got you.
It's not this hard, guys.
You could put my name in Netflix. I have credits, like, so I feel that's annoying to me, but I mean, I just did a self-tape last night, and I got to play the game.
Yeah.
Or just go rogue and do just
rogue,
this.
baby. Yeah.
I do both because I like my foot in the game.
Yeah. It is kind of nice to self-tape, though. You just do it at home, send it in. You didn't have to go anywhere. But you do miss that. I like this guy. Hey, you won't go to Baltimore.
No, but dude, some of my jobs that I've gotten, some greatest things have been like work sessions. We go in, the director, like you said, bro, because you have an eye, because you're talented and you understand that, okay, that joke didn't work. Instead of just writing it off with a pen, you go, how can I punch it up?
Right.
We're from a like if you say improv, yes and background, where a lot of people are like no. We're yesers.
Yeah.
So like the directors are like that. So I felt like it was more creative back in the day in terms of creative people had more say.
Yeah,
now
maybe more collaborative.
Yes. Now it's less. There's a lot of money on the line.
And then when did Jamie Kennedy Experience happen? That was like
experiment. Thank you.
What did I say? Experience?
Yes, you did.
That was my Delta moment.
It doesn't matter. No, I used to do this joke. This lady, people always used to get it wrong forever. This lady, when I had the show, she came up to me. She's like, "I like your show, the Jamie Kennedy excrement." Like people got it. I'm probably getting in trouble for that. That was an impression of I don't know.
No, that's
fine. So I started getting hot. Started getting a lot of movies. We're doing a retrospective.
Yeah, I like this.
And
well, because how often do I get to, I can't talk about this on the rooftop, but I have an inquisitive mind.
No, I know you do.
And not many people have, gotten to the level that you have.
Thank you.
And have that perspective of 90s Hollywood and current Hollywood. And
yeah,
it's like you're a guy who's been to space, and I want to know what it's like.
I'll tell you, and remind me to tell you about how I feel about Hollywood today.
Please.
So
yeah, you're getting hot.
Oh, so I was doing this movies. I was always like I was always the. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the wacky best friend.
Yes.
The crazy video clerk.
Like a side, like great, killing it, kind of like a Jack Black, just like coming in
4 or 5 deep on the call sheet, but always with a huge, pretty huge star.
Yeah.
And like Romeo and Juliet, Three Kings, Boiler Room, all these different things. So I started doing really well, and I was really in wonderful movies. And then I started getting like third and second auditions, and I was a movie called What Women Want, man.
Oh, yeah.
I really wanted that movie.
Yeah.
And it was Mel Gibson. Mm-hmm. It was a huge hit.
Helen Hunt? Who's the lead?
I think it was
female
Helen.
lead? Okay.
And I go and audition, and I was like becoming Jamie Kennedy, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So like I said, like the side dish.
Yeah.
Like the person, like the main character goes, well, I don't know if she likes me. Phil. It's like, dude, here's what you got to do.
You're the guy that, the guy at the driving range.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Is she the one? Dude, you got to keep playing the field.
Yeah, totally. Like whatever at the car wash. Come on, dude. Like
just under the car.
Yeah,
dude.
That's
your role. You just like pop into frame.
That's my 90s. So I'm doing that, and this was like with Mel, and it was like a lot of like, it was like I think the copywriter in it, and this was like this moment of like where who are you and what do you give in terms of like, they always say be yourself, but you also kind of want to like get the job. Yeah. And so I go in, and I think it was Howard Fuhr. Yeah, he was Howard Fuhr. It's like the legendary casting director. Talk about one of the last greatest gatekeepers, New York casting director. So if he liked you. So I went in and I did this whole audition, and it was so awesome. Like I said, he was sitting there and he was talking to the director, Nancy Myers. He goes, I don't know what I just saw, but I like it. And they were talking, and he goes, do it again, but like, and I did it, and he goes, it's very interesting. And like, I left, and they said, listen, he's great. We're not going to go with him, but he's great. And I had a couple of those, and a guy named Mark Feuerstein got it, and he's a great actor. And so I was kind of like this wild guy, and I didn't know how. I was like, had to be a certain way in movies, or I loved it, but I wasn't. Like, people were saying what was funny in movies, and I'd come up doing potluck on Monday in 1991. I remember doing a spot at the Comedy Store. I want to say, I'm pretty sure it's 3:18 a.m. I want to say it went past 2 o'clock. Maybe I'm crazy. Mm-hmm. And they literally said, "Oh, shit, what's up, ice, ice, baby?" Like, it was wild. And, like, I was doing spots all over town. And I knew what comedy was in terms of it. And I knew that I had more to say. And in terms of doing a scripted, someone else's lines is great, but it's not you.
Yeah.
So my agent's like, look, you should try to develop a TV show. And so I always had this idea, like it was SNL. And then I said, how can I do this? And I loved Candid Camera, and I loved SNL. And it was a crazy process of trying to get it going, and it's like 1, 2, 3 times almost. And then the last minute, we got a pilot, and it just worked.
Yeah.
But it was like my baby. And so it was a weird thing to do, to go from movies to TV, but I knew that if it worked, it would make me a thing.
And it would be yours.
Yes. And again, like, I don't know why I was using that example, but I really wanted What Women Want, and I didn't get it. And I was just like, fuck, I wanted to, because I wanted to just be next to Mel and Helen the whole time. It's just like, because you get blessed.
Yeah.
You know, the town looks at you like you're good enough.
Yeah.
And it was like Howard and Nancy, I think it was Nancy Myers, was so encouraging, but they're like, he's just not going to get it. And I'm like, well, how can I be me? And Jordan, I owe him so much. Jordan was the head of the WB, and he was the president of the WB. So he started as a smaller executive, and he just kept coming to shows all over town. And he was like, dude, you're funny when you bomb. Because I used to bomb a lot. He's like, you get so mad, and I just can't stop laughing when you bomb. You're squealing up there, and you're going nuts. And he's like, you know, and so once I got hot, and he was like, one of your boys coming up, and he's like, let's talk about a development deal. And so this was the earliest, when the WB was like a playground.
Oh, I remember, yeah.
And so he was like, I just bought this show with the Wayans brothers. I bought this show Buffy. And he's like,
oh, shit.
Yeah, and he's like, I just bought, I'm going to do a spinoff called Angel. So I was like talking to you. And Jordan was the president. And now the president of YouTube was also, she was the co-president, Suzanne Daniels, who's Greg Daniels' wife, who created The Office and many shows. And he did King of the Hill. And they're like, yeah, so it was loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
So you could fail.
That's the best.
And that's
very collaborative. It's not do or die. And like any job you do, like if you're doing it with your friends, I know they could do the job. It's just like, hey, we're trying to create the thing, and we're in this together. Sometimes when you just book it off of like an audition or something, there's just like, I hope I don't get fired.
Yeah.
Energy the whole time. And that's not great for creating. I mean, you can pull it off, and some people are like more suited for that. But I think it's much better when it's just like, yo, let's make something great. And like, you're my friend.
It's like, he's literally, we went in, we did like a test demo, and it was the demo was for, so you know what the upfronts are?
Yeah.
So I did this demo where I was like basically the head of Pepsi's like nephew. Mm-hmm. And I was basically going to tell these advertisers how to make Pepsi better. And I was like, you got to like put a joint with, I don't remember. I was like,
just all these terrible ideas.
I'm like,
for Pepsi.
Yeah, Coke has cocaine in it. And they're like, no, it doesn't. I'm like, yeah, it does. I'm like, we should put ketamine in our Pepsi to compete with Coke. And they were like, they played it at the upfronts for the upfronts with the joke on the people at the upfronts.
Yeah.
It destroyed. But it was like set up perfectly for me. And then he was like, dude, can we do 13? Whoa. And I was like, I think so. And he goes, can you do that 13 times? And I'm like, I think so. And he's like, okay, and here's your budget. And I was like, he's like, can you do it for like, $12 million? It's a little less than $1 million and up. I'm like, I think I can make that work. Yeah. Like, I'm like, literally. So then the producers like came, and it was incredible. But that was
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say is that time was like, take a shot. It's over in Burbank by Western Bagel. They had a whole lot, and it was like our home. Like how you feel like the Comedy Store is like this beautiful campus. That's what that was. And that's what Hollywood was more of, a try and let's see if it works. Now I feel like there's more outlets than ever because money is so spread out, so people can't reap the windfalls and control it so much that there's less chance to fail in a way. So that's why there's so many, in a way, decision makers, if that makes sense.
Or I think less chances to fail on a grander scale.
Yes.
Like YouTube, Instagram, sure, nothing's precious, but like now it's like, let's make a ton of Marvel movies because we just want to make our money.
Well, it used to be like one of those people would star in a $30 million movie or $40 million movie. Where you get 10 of those people starring in a $400 million movie. So it's basically, instead of 10 swings, it's one swing.
Just one super localized
Yes.
swing with a cape.
Yeah. But like in terms of like you were saying, like with Hollywood, I tell you, man, I can really tell you have this new perspective on COVID, and like with me, and I do too.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm really enjoying doing this stuff. I did shows last night I love, and I've been enjoying the real just creativeness of it. But I think we're at this place where you're going to do what you want to do. But Hollywood, listen, I love it, but for me, it's got to keep its fun. And I don't know how fun it is as it used to be.
Yeah.
I just feel like there was a time where it was this beautiful little club, like, and it was an honor to get in it, and it was nice. And now it's getting slowly decimated, and I feel like there's so much takedown of it. And in the terms of, yes, monsters should be wiped out, but there's an overcorrection of fun. Is that going to get me in trouble? Does that make sense?
Hey, fun is pretty open-ended.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like it's going to be, it used to be fun.
Yeah. Well, I think it was like a country club before. It was very localized as well. Like, it was geographical. There was a location to it. Now, with the internet and, TikTok and Instagram, and there's famous people in Ohio, so now it's just more of like a network. It's an idea. Hollywood is an ideal rather than a location.
I don't mind that. Yes, totally. And I don't mind TikTokers. I'm fine with that. Snapchatters. Whatever you want to do is fine.
I'm a big Snapchat.
Big snappy chat.
Is anyone still on there? I don't know.
I just posted from my other page.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't know.
Huh.
The opens, I was trying to see how much my open rate was. What I mean is, though, it's like just people going, hey, what'd you say? Hey, what'd you do?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I was telling somebody this the other night. I was telling Alyssa and my friend, my very good friend, my bestie, and she was like, I was like, do you understand how Hollywood used to be? I don't know if you remember this, but Jack Nicholson got out of his car and he's like, grabbed an 8-iron and like, you ever hear that story? And smashed the guy's windshield. And he goes, yeah. And fucking drove off. Everyone saw it. People were like laughing. The guy was traumatized. Jack paid the guy like $200,000. And it was done. And she was like younger than us. She's like 29. She's like, that's an honor to have Jack Nicholson smash a windshield. She's like, now he'd be in jail for 10 years.
That's a good point.
And I guess what I'm saying is, where are we at? I don't know. Did that make sense?
I think we're still trying to figure it out. Yeah, we don't know.
It's
evolving.
I'm saying we should get rid of monsters, obviously.
No, I'm just kidding. Like, I'm playing the counter. I think monsters are good. You don't want to get rid of all the monsters.
But like, people do coke on sets. I don't do it.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. But I've never tried coke. I know people don't believe that.
Me too. Can you believe it?
No, I can believe that. But like, I love coffee.
Can you believe I've never done? It's a stretch. I've never done coke.
But like, if people do it, that's their prerogative. What am I saying now? I'm just saying is like, Hollywood is cool, but it's overthinking it more now, and it's more like you can get in trouble for grabbing someone's pita. If that makes
What
sense.
you mean, like Mediterranean bread?
Yeah, like literally. If
Just
you
grabbing
touched
the
it,
pita.
they touched it. He's in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm going down. I'm going out.
No. You said fun. Fun is open ended.
I look at all your questions. You
Thanks,
have like
man.
a whole thing.
I think I might be hitting the end though.
Yeah.
I think I got all of them. We chatted for a bit. Do you have any questions for me? No,
How do
none.
you imagine?
This is okay. So we've done your half. Now we do like a flip flop situation. So
Yes.
now ask me about.
Do
my
you
life.
have a lot of guests on here, by the way?
We've started to me and my buddy Ali. We did just kind of us for a while, and then we had Eric Griffin on, and then we had Tyler Blake from Classics. It's a band I really like. He came on the other day. So just we're sprinkling in some guests now every now and then, just because we're in Hollywood. You
Yeah.
know, like I do stand up. I know everyone from just doing stand up for so long. So why not bring in my friends and.
How do you feel? How do you like Hollywood? Have you seen it change?
Yeah, I mean, my timeline is
It's different.
it's a little different. So for me, though, also what I've realized is Hollywood, you have this idea of what it is when you're a kid.
Yeah.
And it's evolving, but you don't realize it's evolving as you're doing it. So all your goals and desires are from like when you were 15 or 16, even though it may not be the best move for you currently. You know, like when I was coming up, you wanted to do a late night, you wanted to get a premium blend, then the half hour put you on, and then like SNL, there was a roadmap.
Yeah.
And then you do it, you're in it, you're like in the trenches, and then like Vine gets big, and then there's like Vine comedians, and then there's like Instagram, and then YouTube, and then the blueprint is different now.
Yes.
And you're like, I want a late night, even though it does nothing. Like it's more of like an ego stroke for 18-year-old me.
Yes.
Than tangible results for my career.
Mhm.
It's cool to do. It's a nice feather in the hat. But doing Rogan was way better for me.
Huge. Way more.
Yeah, I've done 3 late nights, and they pale in comparison to me doing Rogan, just
Yeah.
talking to him for like 3 hours.
Because that's the epicenter.
That's the epicenter. But again, like that just shows you these things that have a deeper place in me. Like, oh, that should be huge doing a late night. But that's just because it was formed when I was 18 or whatever.
Yeah.
So having to have perspective on what's really important or how the model is changing and being like, is this a smart move or is this a 18-year-old child move? Is this a nostalgia move or a smart move?
Yeah. I totally agree with you. It's all bets are off. When I was coming over here, I was talking to a very successful producer, and he's like, because I'm trying to get this movie going, and he's
Mhm.
like, dude, he's like, we got to go to all the streamers. He's like, I'm like, any theatrical? And he's like, dude, this pandemic has completely
Decimated movies.
well, yeah, and he's like, it sped up the trend that was already happening. He's like, my 14-year-old kid does not care where he watches a movie. He will watch it on his phone, wherever he's at. He does not care. So he's like, dude, movie theaters may be in big trouble.
There's that too, where I think I used to think of things as being more precious, like material and I was like hoarding all my ideas and all these great jokes and bits and sketches for like when I get to do it on SNL or when I get to do it with a production company. And now I think people just consume, like, it's just such an idea-driven marketplace where it can be gritty and just shot with my iPhone at my place, and it's more about how funny the idea and concept is. And I'm just like a faucet of ideas, so I'm just throwing them out there now.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to be in full makeup, and I don't need to wait for. I'm like, let me just put the idea out quick and dirty. That's good enough.
I totally agree with that. Do you feel because you want like polish, and then put it on the proper platform? I feel because everything is being recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has their own voice. That you could have 10 people can have that similar world. So I feel that you just have to kind of put the idea out now,
Yeah.
and timestamp it.
Yeah.
Because you can't wait. And also things are changing every fucking hour. So it's like a bit you wanted to do.
Yeah. I think realizing the strength of the idea is enough.
Mm-hmm.
People are forgiving if it's on TikTok or Instagram and I'm just like cutting between 2 characters. If the idea is funny enough, people still fuck with it. I don't need to be in Victorian makeup to like, I don't need to get a boom guy, and
Yeah.
that was early 2000s shit.
Yeah.
Now it could just be super idea driven, and people can gravitate towards your creativity. Just be like, oh, I just love these ideas, or these kernels of ideas that he has.
Yeah, and you could have it could go viral.
And it's just like so easy to produce then, because there's no overhead. It's just me. I don't have to call a boom guy or like a DP. Because back in the day, you would do it all professional, and now you're like, oh, I could just I can get the idea of it on an iPhone. It's good enough.
I think like this is. Listen, I love to sit at the big table, but I think that this is
more exciting.
Yeah, this is the future or the now.
Yeah.
Like your own thing, making enough money to support your own creative lifestyle.
For sure. Imagine Joe Rogan pitching his podcast in the 90s.
Exactly.
It's 3 hours. I have some bow hunters on. I have UFC guys on. What's UFC? It's like Street Fighter. I'll have scientists on. I'll have stand-up comedians.
I literally have the cross section of everyone.
Yeah.
And the most honest, unfiltered conversations.
Yeah.
Are you gonna curse?
Yeah,
Fuck
we're gonna do that. I might smoke weed on it.
Yeah.
I might wear a spacesuit and drink.
But guess what?
Alcohol.
We're gonna talk.
Yeah.
And you know what? People are gonna fucking be fascinated by it. But how long is it gonna be? 30 minutes? What can I put commercials? No, it's about like 3-4 hours.
Yeah. The guest will wear a diaper, so
yeah, it's like people, that's why he's the trailblazer.
Yeah, but it just shows you the power of creating and people gravitating towards the creation instead of, can I do the thing that I know works?
Yes, that's where I totally agree. Now it's just like, you can do your stuff, so do it.
Yeah, I'll take the lotto tickets, but in the meantime,
yeah,
I'll do this.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for doing the pod, man. Like, I'm really grateful you agreed to do it.
Thank you. I appreciate the space.
Thanks, dude.
Because you were like...
Yeah, you were like, how close are we?
Well, I was like...
I'm like, well, you're on my lap. And then I interview. It's called Lap Time with Fahim Anwar.
He takes...
I go, Jamie, so what was it like working on Scream?
He was like, we could be far away. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, how far is it? 6 feet? 7 feet? Yeah. And he showed me pictures. I was like...
Yeah, I showed you pictures.
I was like, okay.
This is good, right?
I was glad. I mean, I'm sure Ali, what's up, dude?
What's up?
But I'm kind of glad he's not here because that would have been an extra
That's an extra mouth.
An extra, yeah.
An extra pair of lungs.
Yeah.
All right, I always send people out to a track that I enjoy. I always play a song out.
All right.
And I think I pulled it up. What's this one? Oh, man. Actually, I have to do it. Oh, no, I do have it. Okay. I did it before I came. This song is called Not About Love. And it's by Michelle. I'm a big fan of it. It's on the Fahim Anwar Dance Hour Spotify playlist. Rate, review, comment, all that stuff. Follow Jamie on socials. What are your socials?
The Jamie Kennedy, Insta, Jamie Kennedy, Twitter, Jamie Kennedy, Facebook. But seriously, I also have a podcast. I got to get you on it.
That's the only reason I had you on. I wanted to get on it.
I'm 17 deep.
Dude, you got to start somewhere. I'm like 68 in.
Wow.
We've been doing it a while.
68 in.
Yeah.
You're one off.
Oh, fuck. Did you want to be...
That was a weird way to say it. I'm 68 in.
68 in.
Okay. Soon you're going to be...
What's your pod called?
Hate to Break It to You.
Hate to Break It to You.
And it was just me ranting, but now I'm probably going to have guests.
Nice.
Be one of the early guests.
Well, again, thanks so much for doing it.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll see you on another rooftop.
Yeah, probably.
All right.
Behind a taco truck.
I'll see you guys next time. Peace.